Thank you. First of all, thanks to the committee for organizing this fantastic incentive, if I may add. I think it's amazing that we can pass some of this information that we know, some of our experience to the future generations, as you've initially stated, Limbu and sort of expanding outwards. Before I jump into my presentation, a little bit about myself, my background. Hopefully that gives a little bit of information into where I've come from, what I've done, and what the future is for me, and something that people in the audience can link onto. So as I've been introduced, Mera naam Yugal Angbo. Originally, obviously, born and raised in Nepal. I came to the UK at the age of 13. I studied GCSEs. I did my A-levels in the UK. I studied civil engineering as my undergraduate in University of Wolverhampton. Jumped on to do masters at structural engineering in University of Manchester. And then thereafter, I sort of migrated or transitioned into the commissioning into the British Army. So it's been 13 years now that I've been in the Army. I'm aged 35 at the moment, and clearly still loving it, still enjoying every moment of what I do in my career. So hopefully I can give you some of that flavor from the pathway leading all the way into, why I love it so much, why I would advocate this career for our future generations. So if I can get the presentation up, please. So as we're loading the presentation, if I can just add, Mero career say it's in the British Army. What that means is I'm quite specific to the British Army and not the Air Force or the Navy. Hamro Air Force or Navy ma januko लागि pani the pathway to commissioning as an officer exists. However, my experience is specific and only linked to the British Army. So forgive me, I won't be able to sort of explain things about the RAF or the Navy. So if you have any questions about, as I say, British Army, then clearly that's where my expertise, that's where my experience lies.
So just to ask you, would you like me to share your presentation?
So I can't see it at the moment on the screen. I don't know what slide we're on.
It's okay. I'll present it now. Would you be able to tell me when to go to the next slide?
So, yeah. Okay.
So 1 second. So can you see the?
Yes. Perfect. That's
okay.
It.
1 second. Just give me 1 second. Let's show from the beginning. Okay. Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Hazard. So, as I said, a major in the British Army. I've been serving for 13 years, and I've joined specifically the corps, which is called Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers. I mean, we know them to have joined the Royal Gurkha Rifles, the Royal Engineers, sorry, QG, Queen's Gurkha Engineers, Queen's Gurkha Signals. Mate, I've sort of diverted towards electrical and mechanical engineers, which is specifically linked to engineering degree and all that sort of stuff. So I'll elaborate a little bit more on that. But can I go on the next slide, please? So holistically, I'll cover specifically these things, what the process is right from the interview all the way to commissioning as a second lieutenant in the British Army. I'll jump on to the next slide again. So for those that are interested and that think joining the army or joining as an officer could be quite a daunting process, I'm here to say it's not. The very first step is just going to your local recruiting office and showing intention. That's the very first step. I think it's always difficult to take the first step, but once you take the step, the pathway, the amount of support you have, the amount of help you get through the system is enormous. And what that means is every question you have, every interaction you have is very, very expansive, and they will lead you along the path to becoming an army officer or a soldier in the British Army. So certainly when I joined, everybody had to have a degree, but now the prerequisite to joining as an officer is not a university degree anymore. All you need is A levels, once you have, and I think that the grades vary within your A levels as well. So it's quite a open vocation. But if you have up to A levels, then your pathway or your door towards commissioning into the army officer opens up. Certainly, within that category, there are certain niche differences about just the RGR join गर्नुको लागि, engineers join गर्नुको लागि, signals join गर्नुको लागि A level भयो हुन्छ. But there are certain cab badges, certainly मेरो cab badge जस्तो चाहिँ रिमीहरू, signalsमा पनि there are some technical trades. उनीहरू join गर्नुको लागि चाहिँ you need a degree still. And the second bullet point on that green square box, the PQO, that stands for professionally qualified. Sorry, can you go back one slide again still? So the second bullet point, which is a PQO, professionally qualified officers. If you have aspirations to become doctors, lawyers, certainly padres, so a man of the cloth. I think हाम्रो त हुँदैन, त्यही पनि अब expansive padres. If you want to pursue those careers and join the army, those categories are called professionally qualified officers, who will do a very short Sandhurst. They will commission as a captain instead of second lieutenant. So there are multiple benefits to joining the British Army as professional qualified officers. So if you want to find out more about that, please again, ask the questions at the end. And the only other thing you need to have, obviously, to join is you need to be medically fit, which means there are certain criteria you need to hit before you can join. So first step is going to your local recruiting center, getting an interview, and showing the intention to join as an officer, and that's your pathway opened up. Next slide, please. What they will do is say, right, okay, thanks, you've showed this intention. What you need to do is come and do a couple more tests and assessments, which will then highlight to our system that you have the right criteria, you have the right qualities, you have the right experience to join as an officer. What they seek as an officer versus soldier is two different things. You need to show leadership potential. You need to show your ability to handle stress under pressure. You need to show how you manage teams. You need to show how you are empathetic to problems that are bigger than just yourself. So these are the main things they'll look for, and the two ways they will assess those things are the sort of things called briefing and main board, and I'll touch a little bit more on those because they're the two big criterias where you will get assessed amongst other peers to understand whether you have the right qualification and the criteria for British Army commissioned officer. So next slide, please. So if you understand what the briefing day looks like, there is 2 days as part of the briefing course, and the box at the top which says, to be able to select candidates who demonstrate the necessary intellect, character, leadership to complete the officer training in the British Army is what they're assessing for, right? So you have 2 days, and the first 2 days is all about giving you the information. This is not a assessment per se. This is telling you what exactly you need to be aware of when you come back and do the actual assessment. So in the 2 days, they will teach you certain tricks, certain tips, certain do's and don'ts, what they expect you to do in the assessment, and that's called briefing. And those check boxes are the main things they will allude you to. They will open you up to. They will give you these experiences, and once they bring you back for the main board, which is the next box, all those things you learned in the briefing in those 2 days, they will assess you in the 4 days, which is the main board. This is the critical thing that everybody needs to be aware of when you're trying to go through the process, right? So day 1 is all about fitness. Day 2 is about group discussions, your interviews, how you operate under pressure without having a leader, what kind of team player you are. On day 3, they give you certain scenarios. It's all about absorbing information, how you can verbalize, how you can elaborate, how you can explain your plan, how you can come up with a plan in a difficult scenario, how you can execute those plans, how you cope under pressure whilst you have an audience observing you. These are the things they'll look for. And then there is a formal dinner at the end of the day, which is a suit and tie event. It's a regimental affair, but they're looking for how you socialize with your peers, how you have that social interactions with seniors, with juniors, with your peers, all that kind of stuff. And on the final day, they'll look at a couple more activities. But by the end of the 4 days, they will be able to give you the assessment, the result of the assessment, to say, are you suitable or not to be able to join the British Army as an officer? Right. So within that 4 days, you will find out whether you are suitable or not. So the first 2 days on the left box was all about introducing you to those things. The second box, which is the main board, is all about assessing you. So these are the 2 main days, and this is what everybody should be aware of to join the British Army. And then subsequently, once you pass, you're in the system, you go to Sandhurst, you're kicked out of the factory at the other side as a officer. If you don't pass and you're deferred, then you need to do a couple of extra stuff. You need to gain more experience. You need to be culturally more attuned, and therefore, come back for another assessment, and they'll probably give you a tick in the box. Next slide, please. So there we go. Once you pass the main board, it's all about Sandhurst. Sandhurst is a 44-week long course. We know all about this. It's in Camberley. They teach you military leadership training, and once you finish Sandhurst, so that's your military training. You do second training, which is all about Camp Badge specific. So in Sandhurst, when you go to do the 44-week long course, everybody is just an officer cadet. Nobody knows which Camp Badge you're going to. When you're in Sandhurst, they will say, okay, you're going to RGR, you're going to engineers, you're going to REME, you're going to signals, you're going to whatever. And then the second training you do is specific to the Camp Badge you're going to. So RGR got infantry training, also REME will do mechanic training, engineers will do engineering, doctors will do a little bit more doctorate type stuff. Signals will do a lot more with the radios and all that type training. So it's specific to the Camp Badge you want to join. And once you've finished that, you're kicked out of the army as a King's Commission, second lieutenant, and that's where you start your journey into the officership. Next slide, please. So noting I'm sort of running tight on time, this is the last slide, and this is all about why I still love the sort of career, what gets me out of the bed every day. I do hard stuff. I do hard stuff with the people I love. I go and have fun activities. I've made camaraderie. I've made brotherhood, for a lifelong brotherhood. These are the people that I will, die by. These are the people that I live by. It's something that I will never experience, I believe, in any other field. The breadth, the sheer diversity of activities I do on a day-to-day basis, looking after your soldiers, doing the hard stuff, as I said, doing certainly things that are very, very expensive for very cheap, because the government, the sort of army is paying for it, is what still makes me excited being in the British Army. Just to give you final 2 examples before I close my presentation, earlier this month, late last year, I took the bottom left picture is a picture in Bali, Indonesia, that I took a group of my soldiers to. And then in June this year, I'm going to America to play football with, again, my troops. And these are the type of activities I get to do, pretty much for free, within working hours, within working times. And it's something that I still love to the day. 13 years later, I'm still enjoying it every day. As I said, I think I've run out of time already, so forgive me for that. But I'm here for any questions if anyone has any. Otherwise, Dr. Kissen's got my email address. He's got my contact details. I'm happy for that to be shared to anybody that has specific questions. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. Back to you again.